Good evening, Arun sir.
Hi, good evening, madam. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me with you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll wait for your cue, ma'am, and we'll get started. Anu ma'am, when you give the cue, I'll get started. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, one and all. I hope it is audible.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I request all the participants to keep your mic muted for the smooth conduct of the program since it is going live. Once again, good evening, all. We are about to mark the beginning of the session 2 on the topic Innovations in Education Complementing Industry 4.0. Today's session, HR 4.0, is an eye-opener towards transformational leadership role. Leadership for the 21st century is facing enormous challenges such as rapid advancement in technology, disengagement, diverse workforce in coaching, and so on. Neuro leadership is now an emerging field in coaching, mentoring, and leadership. Future leaders are trying out mind scanning, heart rate monitors, and meditation to influence in decision making and handling stress. In short, HR 4.0 centered around social brain function. I welcome you all to the second session of Amalgam 2021 by the Postgraduate Department of Commerce in association with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell. For all good deeds, we need the blessings of Almighty. So I invite Department Choir for the prayer.
ജഗദീശാരക്ഷിക്കാനങ്ങളെയെന്നും മാഹിതമാം ഭക്തിതൻ ദാനമിന്നേകി മനതാരിലെന്നും വിളങ്ങട്ടെ ശുദ്ധി ചിരമായി വളരട്ടെ ഞങ്ങളിൽ ഭക്തി ജനതൻ ചിന്തയിൽ കൺമണിയായി നിതരാം വസിപ്പു പരംപൊരുളേ നീ ജനതൻ മാനസ കോരിരുൾ നീക്കി ധവള പ്രകാശം പരത്തു നീന്നും ജഗദീശ രക്ഷിക്കാനങ്ങളെ എന്നും മാഹിതമാം ഭക്തിത ദാനമിന്നേകി മനതാരിലെന്നും വിളങ്ങട്ടെ ശുദ്ധി ചിരമായി വളരട്ടെ ഞങ്ങളിൽ ഭക്തി ചിരമായി വളരട്ടെ ഞങ്ങളിൽ ഭക്തി.
We are glad with the presence of you all. To officially welcome all gathered here, I would like to invite Dr. Vogius Anthony, Vice Principal of Chris Jodi College, for the welcome address. Sir, please.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Okay. Good evening to one and all. Most respected Principal of the College, Reverend Father Joshi Kiranguri, CMI. Chief guest of today's program, Sri Arun Sukumar Kaimal, Mr. Sushil George Joseph, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Anu Anthony, IQAC Coordinator of Chris Jodi College of Management and Technology, my dear colleagues and students. Good evening to one and all. We are going to hear a lot of things about the topic evolving HR 4.0, transforming enterprises. Innovative technologies like Internet of Things, big data, and artificial intelligence are helping to automate most human resources processes, resulting in more efficient and lean teams. Above all, state-of-the-art technologies applications are transforming traditional HR into HR 4.0. The concept of HR 4.0 is closely linked to the fourth major industrial revolution. If Industry 4.0 represents a major transformation in the way companies approach manufacturing. It is also true that this move has reduced the human resources requirements, especially through automation. Similarly, the exchange of data between different systems has dramatically increased efficiency and decision-making processes related to people management. Although the world will see even greater changes in the coming years, much of the technology needed is already in place to replace much of the current HR-related activities. Therefore, we can say that HR 4.0 is a revolution in the area of human resources. In it, human resources becomes more automated, focusing its activities on strategic issues and no longer on manual, bureaucratic, and repetitive actions. We are going to hear more on this topic. Therefore, I am turning to my duty of welcoming all the dignitaries to this function. First of all, the principal of college, Reverend Father Joshi Chiranguri, an eminent administrator, is providing all the facilities for promotion of the various activities that are being undertaken by the faculties as well as the students. On behalf of the participants, I cordially welcome our dear principal, Reverend Father Joshi Chiranguri, to this function. Welcome, Father. The resource person of this session, Mr. Arun Sukumar Kaimal, a well-known academician as well as an HR trainer. He is a well-rounded HR professional with experience in full employee life cycle human resource operations in different geographies for over 14 years now. He has also been associated with teaching or coaching for the past 15 plus years as a visiting faculty at various institutes and forums of refuge, such as TIS Mumbai, Symbiosis College, then similarly Rajagiri College of Business Studies, etc. He is a well-known professional in human resources management as well as a trainer. Sir, we are extremely happy to hear from you. On behalf of the management of Christiodi College, as well as on behalf of the participants, I cordially welcome you to this session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
The coordinators, IQAC coordinators of Christiodi College of Management and Technology, Mr. Sushil George Joseph, as well as Dr. Anu Anthony, two eminent personalities. They are doing a lot of activities, such as these types of seminars are being organized under the auspices of the IQAC for the betterment of our faculties as well as the students. I cordially welcome Sri Sushil George Joseph and Dr. Anu Anthony to this function. I also welcome all the faculties of Department of Commerce and from other departments, as well as our students to this function. Once again, I cordially welcome all of you to this function and wish you a very good session. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, the time that you are waiting for has arrived. The program is going to get its spirit through the words of our honorable resource person, Mr. Arun Sukumar Kaimal. Let's have a look on his profile. Arun is a well-rounded HR professional with experience in full employee life cycle HR operation in different geographies for over 14 years now. After completing his master's in PM and IR from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, where he was the president of the College Students' Union, he started his career with Nokia as a global graduate in 2007 and worked in different roles like HR operations, L&D, and HR business partnering. His longest stint with Nokia was based out of Dubai, UAE, as the HR manager for Saudi Arabia. After a successful innings of 42 months, Arun moved out of Nokia in 2010 to come back to Mumbai. His last assignment with Nokia was as the regional HR manager for Nokia North India. He then joined Deutsche Bank, where he was a HR business partner. Here he supported some very important teams for the business like GZRT and EMG. He worked with Deutsche Bank for less than a year before joining GE Energy in 2011 as the site HR leader for the software solutions group based in Mumbai. In July 2030, he moved to Bangalore with GE to take on a bigger role as HRM for their aviation business. Post spending close to 10 months in Bangalore, he returned back to his base location, Mumbai, to join Danaher, India as HRM for India, supporting 23 operating companies for Danaher in India. In April 2016, he was promoted as Head of Leadership Development and Engagement for Danaher India, and starting December 2016, he moved to Singapore to take on the role of HR Director for Water Quality Platform Asia Pacific. He has been associated with teaching for the past 50 plus years as a visiting faculty at various institutes and forums of repute. Some of the colleges where Arun has given guest lectures are TIS Mumbai, Symbiosis College Pune, IFEEL Lonavala, SIESCOMS, NMIMS, WE School, TAPMI, Wilson College, University of Wollongong in Dubai during the academic year. Also, Arun was an adjunct faculty with the University of Wollongong in Dubai during the academic year 2009 to 2010. He has also taught at Career Launcher and Career Forum and also in Menon classes in Mumbai. Currently, Arun is a visiting faculty at WE School, Wellington, and has been teaching the second year management students organizational effectiveness, learning and development, recruitment and selection, HR planning and audit. He was also a resource person for conducting assessment centers at the Rajgiri College of Business Studies. Since 2018, Arun has been invited as panelist by various forums in Singapore like HRM Asia, Proventa HR Leaders Summit, HR Shapers Roundtable Panel Discussion, among others. He's a passionate people's person who has the ability to connect and engage with people from different parts of the world with varied demographic profiles and work with them as a team. Arun is a passionate quizzer and a quiz master and a very active social worker. In his spare time, he loves reading and spending time in community service. He is a certified senior professional in human resource, situational leadership 2 trainer, and a behavioral competency assessor. He's also a certified trainer for coaching essentials. Arun also loves mentoring young talent in Singapore and India, and is actively involved with Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, Voices of Asia, and Asian Institute of Mentoring. He's also a career coach for Singapore Institute of Management. So with immense pleasure and on the behalf of KCMT family, once again, I welcome Mr. Arun Sukumar Kaimal to the program. So please.
Thank you very much for the invite. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the generous introduction. Very kind of you. And I would like to first of all acknowledge and express my gratitude for Reverend Father Joshi Charamguri, CMI, Dr. Varghese Anthony, Ms. Sushil George Joseph, Dr. Anu Anthony, and all the other distinguished faculty and experts and students who are on this forum. I'm really glad to be here with you today. And I want to make this session a bit interesting and interactive. It's a Friday evening, and I know that it's probably party time for many of you after a very busy week. I also looked at the brochure of the program, KCMT Amalgam 2021, and I believe that this is probably the last session that stands between you and the completion. After a long 6-day program that you had, probably this session will mark the end of Amalgam 2021. So I feel the pressure as well to be able to give something of value to each one of you. So in order to make the best use of this time together, what I thought is I'll make it a bit interactive so that I can give you something of value that resonates with you and something that you can take back into your work life, into your professional lives, and make impact with it. So I have a PPT which I can take you through, and that PPT can last us for the next 80 minutes. But I don't know if that will be the most effective way of doing this. I can do a complete Q&A with you to make it interactive so we can all speak and learn from each other. That's the second option that we can choose. So first is PPT 80 minutes. Second is interactive Q&A 80 minutes. Or third, as they call the magic of and, we could do a mix of both. So I could give a quick presentation for 30 minutes, walk you through the PPT that I have, just introduce a few topics. I will send this PPT to you so that you can make use of it in your further reference. So I could do 30 minutes of that, and I could keep the rest 50 minutes or so for Q&A. So what would you prefer? Can I request you to indulge me by typing in your responses into the chat box? If you would like to have a PPT for 80 minutes, please type 1. If you would like to have a discussion for 80 minutes, please type 2. And if you would like to have a mix of PPT and discussions where we do 30 minutes PPT and the balance time for Q&A, please type 3. So can I request all of you to please type in your responses into the chat box? Okay, Arun, Joji, thank you so much. You're saying 3. Angel is saying 3. Benita is saying 3. Good. So we've got a few responses here. I'm a person of consensus, like most HR people are. They want to take everybody along. And yeah, I'm glad to see a lot more 3s coming in. Seena is saying 3. Nivya is saying 3. Anu is saying 3. Nikhil is saying 3. Okay. Ben is saying 3. Abhijit Jisna is saying 3. Leena is saying 3. Okay. So we've got a good fair amount of 3. And this is the first trick in HR, or the first lesson in HR, that you have to listen to the humans who are around you. And as a HR professional, I would love to hear what you have to say. And out of the 77 people, it looks like at least 20 of you have responded 3. The ones who have not responded are not expressing their view. So I have to go with the majority that I see here. So let me present a quick slide set that I prepared for this session today to introduce a few topics that I thought could be of interest in a session like this. So what I'm going to introduce to you is a few topics that might be of interest as we speak about this topic today. But at any point in time, if you feel that there's something that you would like to ask or share, or just kind of make this discussion richer, then I encourage you to just unmute yourself and come forward and share your inputs. I don't claim to be an expert on this topic because it's an evolving topic, and we all need to learn as to what the trends will be in the future. But whatever little that I have seen, and based on the research that I have done, I hope to present a few ideas that can give you some thoughts in this area. So that's the premise of my session today. I'll jump onto the first slide, which is really the evolution of the industry. Now, why this is important to look at the industry is because HR is a function or a subset of how the industry evolves. So HR in itself will be of no relevance if there's no industry. So for human resources to be there, a company or a factory or a business needs to be there first. And in the words of Dave Ulrich, who's a very famous author and thinker in the space of HR, the role of an HR person is to make a successful business available for its people. So the business and business's success is extremely critical for any HR function to be of relevance. So therefore, as I introduce this topic to you, I wanted to kind of map out how the industry evolved to set the context of how we are going into this space of HR 4.0, industrialization, or industry 4.0, 5.0. It will keep coming as we go along. But what is important on this slide is to just trace how things evolved. If you look at the 1500s, then the first corporate office was constructed at the Uffi Gallery, which is Florence Uffi's gallery, and that was named as the first corporate office. The Industrial Revolution came in, many new inventions were introduced to human beings, and that Industrial Revolution led to certain changes. Workers started getting unionized. A lot of people started believing in bargaining and negotiating collectively. The modern office, the new concept, really was probably introduced by by Henry Ford when he started the line manufacturing function. The invention of the telephone, the telegraph, the typewriter, all kind of started making the office look a lot more exciting. And obviously, we all know Robert Probst, who designed the cubicle, which is kind of the modern day image that a person has when he or she looks after a company. We all probably know of Tim Berners-Lee, who kind of was known as the father of internet. When internet came, we really had this entire burst of knowledge and information that hit the world. And now, as we look at the working place, as we all are experiencing COVID, the whole world of collaboration has come alive. For me to be here in Singapore today and participate in this session, I would have thought of this as a very distant possibility if I was speaking to you same time in 2019. But here in 2021, I'm here with you today remotely from Singapore because we've been hit by COVID, and the virtual format which you can see here, the Zoom icon, the video icon on the right, is probably the one that has the most interest now, because most of us are living in a world where everything happens virtually. And this has implications on our business. What are the implications? If you look at some businesses that were not there in the past, they are coming to be big hits today. If you look at Netflix, for example, share prices going through the roof, creating a lot of impact. When people are at home, they cannot go out. Netflix is booming. Squid Games is probably the most famous, series that is going down on the internet today. So new businesses have come, but some new businesses have also died as soon as they've started evolving. I don't know if you're following what is happening to Oyo Rooms and Ritesh Agarwal, but just this morning I read about a very sad news of how Oyo is going through a very deep financial crisis. We all know about this American car company called Hertz, which was into renting cars in America. At one point in time, Avis and Hertz in America were like the two big companies that nobody thought could ever be touched. But COVID happened, and today Hertz does not exist. Hertz had to close shop and file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy because they couldn't just survive in this post-pandemic world. Now, times are changing, and why I wanted to bring this slide to you is to set the context or the premise for the discussion today about how HR is evolving. Evolution of HR, I want all of us to remember, is very strongly linked to the evolution of the industry. And as the industry evolves, it's very natural that HR also has been evolving. So how has the journey been for HR? The journey for HR, and again, the timelines might be different here. What you see on the x-axis is when the true HR function started gaining prominence. I would call that the beginning of the 20th century, the time when Henry Ford introduced Model T. There's a production line, and employees started coming together and collectively talking about safety, hygiene factors, like basic pay, fair pay, some social security, those kind of elements. So when that happened, employee welfare started taking a dominant role in the minds of people who own businesses. At those times, business meant you own a large factory, you have access to either a lot of rent, or you have access to land or machine or manpower. And that combination would make you rich if you did your business well. But as time evolved, you can see on the x-axis, you have different key milestones that the HR function went through. Started off as employee welfare, moved into labor relations, moved into employee relations, then personal and admin in between. In the 1960s to 80s, it was personal and admin. In the early 80s, we started human resource function. If you look at India, Mr. T.V. Rao, along with L&T, were the ones who were pioneers in this space. Till then, there were two business schools, XLRI in Jamshedpur and TISS in Mumbai, that were offering a personal management program. But slowly in the 80s, the focus started shifting towards a lot more strategy. What you see on this yellow box here, HR started talking about strategic business partner, organizational development, culture change. People started realizing the value of shared service organizations or centers of excellence. And this evolution continues. So I don't know what HR 4.0 will look like, but I'm going to present to you certain conjectures that leading thinkers are presenting about what HR 4.0 could look like in the times to come. So I told you about the industry. I told you a little about HR and how HR's journey has evolved over the years. Now let me bring home this reality, which is very here and now for all of us. I don't know how many of us have heard of the CEO of a company called Zoho, Mr. Sridhar Vembu. Uh, Mr. Sridhar is the CEO of a company called Zoho, and he actually started this concept of work from anywhere. I don't think he started it, but he popularized it, maybe the right way to put it. But he went to his hometown in southern India and said, I can work from here and I can work just as effectively. I don't need to be in an office. I don't need to have actual travel time. Every day in the morning, I go somewhere, come back. I can just work from anywhere and probably my home in a remote village and still do my work as effectively. And the Zoho example is something that's now getting popular across the world. Companies like Twitter said that we don't want to have an office at all. People can work from anywhere. Of course, they're having a rethink about it now. So one doesn't know if it will stay for long. But a lot of companies said that we would like to go virtual. We don't want to have an office place. But now, if you look at, oh, I'm sorry, I think you're seeing my screen. Are you seeing the big screen or are you seeing the small screen? Can anybody guide me? Seeing the big screen now?
Big screens now, sir.
Okay. So team, you all here with me, you active participants. I apologize, but I realized that you're seeing the small screen only when I looked at the side. Please speak up. This discussion is futile if it's not of value to you. So at any point in time, if something is not right, I encourage you to speak up. Otherwise, my story will be like that of a king who was, in birthday suit and nobody told him about it, but that small child. So please speak up if you don't, if this is not coming across in the right manner. I'll try to make amends. Yeah. So on this screen now, what I'm showing you is a work from home, which is a new reality in today's corporate world. So moving forward, while the industry has changed, which is like the way the industry evolved from the industrial age, the first revolution, second industrial revolution, the software boom, Y2K, internet, and today this whole post-pandemic, lifestyle that we are all experiencing, the stages of employee life cycle have remained the same, which means that an HR's role starts with recruiting talent, onboarding them, developing them for the company so that they're able to produce the best results for the company in line with the company goals, retain the talent, and then eventually people retire. Sometimes you have to take decisions to separate with people. So the stages of an employee life cycle have not really changed. The same things happened in 1900s, the same things happened in 2000. In the next century as well, we'll probably see the same things. So what I want you to now start thinking about is you saw the industrial evolution, you saw how HR's role has changed. But if you look at the touch point where HR is influencing an employee, that has remained the same. Only the way we do that has changed now, which is what you see in the bottom half of this life cycle. In the past, there was a time when you had to go with a paper resume, sit in front of a big line. Somebody would call you virtually into a meeting room, have an interview, and then that person would say you are in or out. But that thing is a thing of the past. I don't think we will see paper resumes anymore in times to come. It's all online. It's either an online profile like LinkedIn. Some people are doing video resumes. Some other people are doing other creative stuff. But that traditional paper resume, which was sent via a post or an email, applying for a particular job, is a thing of the past. Today, you go on an applicant tracking system. You log into a website. You upload your resume, and that's how your application happens. Onboarding has changed as well. I remember my father used to work for General Insurance Corporation of India, and he got a posting, for a posting in Mumbai. I was born and raised in Mumbai, in a new office. On his day one, he had to reach that office at 8 o'clock in the morning, go find where his desk is, talk to a few people. He had to go for a 1 month training to Pune for a physical, physically he had to go to Pune, be there for a month to do training in the Insurance Institute, and then he started his job. Today, if you look at companies like Infosys or Wipro or TCS, all of them have made their onboarding program online. In the past, if you joined Infosys, the joke was you're going to grow fat because you go to the Mysore campus, you get good food, you don't have to travel, you're having fun with a lot of other college graduates, and you're enjoying your onboarding experience. But unfortunately, COVID has changed that. And today, you need to be at home and sit in front of a computer, eating the same food that your mom is cooking at home or your dad is cooking at home, and just looking into a screen and listening to hours and hours of content. That's how onboarding has changed. And developing talent has also shifted in a big way. In the past, when we would talk about development as a HR talking to a business leader, the first thing they would ask is which training is there. And sometimes people used to joke that HR's role is all about menu and venue, about training. So you decide the menu and you decide the venue, and that's all that you do. But today, development has taken a much broader perspective in terms of the 70-20-10 model, where many companies have started looking at talent development as a process, where 70% of the learning comes from on the job, 20% comes from mentoring, coaching, or soft relationships, and only 10% comes from classroom. And that classroom has become virtual now. So no longer do we have a classroom where somebody goes, sits in a class and starts thinking, what's for breakfast today, what's for lunch. In the biryani gito was thought that I used to have when I used to go for a training program. In the biryani and that kind of a thought is become remote now, because development has shifted its focus from just a training to a lot more. Similarly, we can talk about retaining talent, where in the past it was all about money. If somebody is leaving a company, pay him or her more money and that person would stay. But today, money, which always was a hygiene factor, has become next to nothing for human beings. Because in the COVID world, everybody saw that the millionaires and the poor got impacted by COVID the same way. A lot of rich people who could afford treatment could not get beds. And a lot of people who got beds could not get life. So it's really in God's hand. So I love the way we started this session with a prayer. I think the power of prayer has become a lot more known and well appreciated after COVID. So retaining talent today is not just about money, but it's about growing talent, showing them a growth path, showing them the meaning at work, showing them how their work is purposeful, so that they are able to really engage with that job in more ways than one. It's not just about getting your money and feeling happy about it, but it's about growing yourself, growing your career, taking international assignments, thinking about how your career would look like 15 years from now, and planning for that now. So retention from an HR standpoint has undergone a major change as well. And today there's this whole discussion about employee experience. So like you go onto a website and you map your experience about how good or how bad that website was. Today, employees are going and talking about their experience about companies. I work with TCS. If you go to this company called Glassdoor, you see hundreds of people giving feedback about what worked well and what didn't work well. Unfortunately, the people who take time to write on these websites are probably, most of the time, are people who are disgruntled. They didn't like something, they want to settle a score, so they go online and write all those bad things that they experience with the company. So employee experience has become very important. And today, employees who exited the company are being treated as alumni. So those associates or employees need to be taken care of, because their vote counts, their word counts, and that's become very impactful. So while the stages of an employee's life cycle with a company has not changed, the way things get done has changed a lot. And that's what I wanted to impress upon you with this slide, which talks about HR life cycle. So if this is what we're talking about here, and there's been some changes that have been noted, what does it mean from a practitioner's perspective? What skills does a practitioner need to have in order to be able to be effective in this world? So what I'm going to source or share with you now is the 4 stages of HR maturity, which was introduced as a concept by Mr. Dave Aldrich. I will be sending these slides to you, and on all my slides, in some corner or below the slide, you will find a source from where I've got this. So there's a lot more reading that you can benefit from if you invest some time in going through these slides. But what you have here on this slide is a very nice graphical representation of how HR has evolved over times. So if you look at HR 4.0, I would say HR 4.0 is somewhere here. This is where HR started off, in that welfare domain. Then it started talking about personal management. Then it started talking about the strategic HR. But where we are in today, in the post-pandemic world, we need to look at HR from an outside-in perspective. So it's not about what policies I feel are appropriate, but it's more about what policies will work for an employee who's deciding to work for the company. Is that policy going to be effective? And if it is not, it does not need to exist. A case in point that I remember here is the case of General Motors. How many of you have heard about General Motors? Can you tell me what is the share price of General Motors today? Or can you tell me anything that you know about General Motors? Anything that you know about this company? You can just type it into the chat box. You can maybe name a car that General Motors is making, or anything that you know about General Motors that you would like to share. I would love to hear from you and hear your perspectives. Is anybody willing to share something with us? Sorry, I've somehow lost the chat box. So I'm not able to see the chat box. Just a moment. Anybody? What do you know about General Motors? Anyone? Come on, we got 75 people on this call. Something about General
So
Motors.
it's an American automotive MNC.
Spot on, Nirja. Thank you so much. Big round of applause to you. I'm so glad that you called that out, Nirja. Anything else about General Motors? What do you know about General Motors? Anyone?
Sir, there is a comment on General Motors. What is good for General Motors is good for America. So
Yes.
that is the commentary.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much, sir. Matthew, sir, thanks for that input. General Motors, for a very long time, along with Ford, was considered as the bulwark of the American industrial dream. There's a very nice video on Netflix. It's called The Factory. It talks about a Chinese company called Fuyao and how Fuyao moves the manufacturing line of their glass company from China to US. I would encourage all of you who are interested in HR to see that video. It's got a lot of good insights for HR practitioners. The movie is called The Factory, and it talks about Fuyao, which is a Chinese company relocating its manufacturing line to US. So thank you so much, Matthew, sir. For a long time, General Motors was, kind of prided as what's good for General Motors is good for America. And General Motors dress code used to be a 16-page dress code policy. When the new CEO, a lady, I forget her name, came on board, she just threw that away. And she just introduced a policy which comprised of 2 words. Can anybody say what those 2 words are? The dress code policy of General Motors. Anyone? Take a guess. Doesn't have to be right. We learn together. I don't claim to know all the answers. 2 words, dress code policy of General Motors. Do a Google and you can find that. Come on, 75 alkari session and
So dress appropriately.
Nirja, you've got the best internet connection for sure. Did you Google it or did you know about it already?
I just Google it, sir.
But thanks. It takes effort to do that. There's 75 others on the call, but you are the one who took the effort. So I appreciate you, Nirja.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nirja. So the policy of General Motors, the dress policy of General Motors used to be a 16-page document. When this new CEO, who's a lady, very proactive lady, came on this, she just threw that and made a 2-word dress code policy. Dress appropriately. That's how HR is evolving. And that's what HR 4.0 signifies. You need to think about HR from a customer's point of view. What does the employee who's coming to work need today? How can you as a HR enable that organization for that employee so that the business can become successful? That's what HR needs to think about. So if you are an HR business partner, the first thing you should think about is, what's this business all about? How is this business making money? And what can I do in contributing to that business success? On the people side, on other areas, what can we do to make that business successful? That should be the key focus for an HR professional in today's world. So I'm going to send these slides to you, but this is a very powerful model that talks about HR 4.0, which is first, kind of articulated by Dave Ulrich. So I send that, and I'll kind of end with the last 2 slides. There are 6 themes that I want you to be aware of as you look at HR as a practice or a function. The first thing is your ability as professionals to align people or inspire people by the collective purpose. And I know many CMI priests who work selflessly for the cause of spreading education, healthcare in our country. The CMI institution is an institution that is inspired by purpose. I can say that even if I'm not a part of the community, but I know many priests who are. And they don't work for money, they don't work for pride, they don't work for titles. They work for that purpose because they are doing God's work. And that purpose is what unifies them to serve this community in the most special manner. How many organizations can really think about creating a culture like that, where people work for the purpose, they feel aligned, they feel excited, and they want to contribute their efforts. They want to contribute their time, energy, and expertise to build that company. That's what the first theme is today. As HR practitioners, you need to be able to create that strong sense of purpose that will align your people to contribute their time and energy. Second thing, at the bottom of Maslow's law of hierarchy was, food safety and the very basic needs. That's coming back to fore now. The whole COVID situation has taught us that all companies and HR practitioners need to think about health. And it's not just about remedial health, where somebody's falling ill and you need to take care of the person. It's about proactively managing health as a priority for your employees. How can you take charge of providing healthcare services, better health? Maybe companies are running this Fitbit challenge now, where you wear a watch and you run for 30 days and there's a winner. There is a reason why companies are doing this. It's not a transactional operational job, but it's a commitment by a company to say, I want to take care of my employees and I'll provide for them. Because COVID has taught us that nothing is more important than health. And if, like in Hindi, they say, Sar Salamat to Pagdi Hazar. So health is very, very critical. That is second priority. Third is agility and resilience. I'm in Singapore today, and from 27th of September till October 24th, the Singapore government has issued an advisory that we need to take care of ourselves and our employees. Work from home is a default. We've had this many times. Many of you who are there in your college today would have seen this advisory coming in from the Kerala government, where one day they say things are open, but second day things close down. There's a triple lockdown someday, there's an opening up, then there's a night curfew. Things are changing rapidly. But your employees have to keep contributing and keep working. How do you build that resilience to enable these employees to work in the face of these changing situations is very, very important. Number 4 is collective intelligence. I told you at the start of this session, I don't have all the answers, but I know I'm talking to 75 intelligent people, or 73 now, maybe 2 people dropped out, who will tell me something that I'll learn from. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I do know that when you go in the collection of good people, spend time with them, there will be new ideas that will come. And that new ideas will be much, much more powerful than one person sitting in some corner and saying, I've got the best brain. More brains, more power. How can you hire the best diverse talent and make use of that collective intelligence is the important skill that HR practitioners will look about. Diffusion of power. There was a time when companies used to wait for emails from the US before taking any decision. But in COVID situation, where a person is dying, he or she is not getting a bed, a HR person cannot be expected to call US and ask for permission. Can I pay that 5,000 rupees to get that bed so that I can save my employee who's dying? Decisions have to be taken at the point of impact. There are many such examples that you've seen where decision was centralized in the past, but in the future, decisions will be decentralized, which also means that the power will now be in the hands of the people who can make that decision. There are many examples that I can quote. The one that comes to mind is the Facebook situation that's going on now. There's a speak up happening where a whistleblower is talking about some of the things that are not working well in Facebook. And Facebook is having a tough time. 20 years back, nobody could have thought of a situation like this. The Me Too movement, a great example of where people are coming forward and expressing about the challenges that they faced at the workplace, and the power is now shifted. In the past, there used to be a person called Lala or the Gemmi who used to own a lot of money, and he or she would decide what happens at the workplace. But today, the workers have equal power in their hand, if not more, to decide how the company should run, what are the terms and conditions that they should be aligned to. And last, but the most important thing is flexibility. As a HR practitioner, you need to be flexible in the way you approach things. You cannot have the book that was written 30 years ago to guide your decisions at the company. You need to be able to design new approaches, put in place new policies, work from home policy. Many companies didn't have a work from home policy until 2019. But 2021, almost all companies have a work from home policy now. That's how things are changing rapidly. It's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And the only way you can navigate that complexity is by being flexible in the approach that you take towards managing your employees at work. So I'll end with this, and I'll say three things in summary, because like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I want to contribute some questions and I would love to hear from you. So I'll make it interactive from this section onwards. The three questions that you need to keep in mind as you look at HR 4.0. The first is what to change. Is it HR policies? Is it practices? Is it systems? Is it structures? Look at HR in its entirety and ask this question as an outsider. What to change? After you ask that, the next question is what to change to? And the third question is how to cause that change ahead of time in a successful manner. If you keep asking this question all the time, whatever the changes come, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, there can be many versions that the industry will go through. In the last 100 years, we moved from only 1.0 to 2.0. But in the last 20 years, we moved from 2.0 to 3.0 to 4.0. In the next 20 years, we'll move from 4.0 to 5.0 to 6.0 to 7.0, maybe 10.0. We'll keep moving much faster pace. So what will enable your success is the age-old maxim that we've known in India for a long time. Parivartan samsarasya niyama. Change is the only constant in life. Darwin articulated it in a very nice way in his theory of evolution. And now we are talking about it in this world where we are saying, oh, are you seeing my screen? Is anybody seeing my screen? Again, team, if you're not seeing the screen, please let me know. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. I was hoping that you're seeing my screen and I'm sharing a couple of slides, but looks like nobody told me that this was the 6 slides that I talked about, the themes for an HR practitioner. So the things are collective purpose, renaissance in health, agility and resilience, collective intelligence, diffusion of power, flexibility. And then I was wanting to end with this slide that talks about the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself as HR practitioners. So I'll pause here. I see a lot of intelligent people who are on this call. Thanks, Jisna. I know that you can see now. Inosh, thank you. Glad that you are able to see this. So I'll pause here. I'll send this PPT to Anu ma'am. And Anu ma'am, I'll request you if you can send this to the students so that they can benefit from it. There are a lot of links that are available embedded into the slides. So students can benefit from it, hopefully learn some new concepts. But I would love to use the next hour or so that we have together, or 45 minutes that we have together, to answer any questions that you may have. So I'll stop sharing now, and I'd welcome your inputs. If you have something to share, would love to hear your thoughts about this topic, and we can all learn together. Any questions, team? Or your views on HR 4.0? What are you seeing happening on the ground? What are your insights? I would love to hear that.
Thank you, Arun sir, for your nice presentation.
Oh, thank you, Matthew sir.
And I appreciate you because you are a product of Data Institute of Social Sciences. And also a global citizen. I appreciate as a Malayali. And just like Father Jos Alex CMI, the director of Rajagiri Institute, he also, is a Tata product.
Yes.
So here, we can say the human capital, actually the shadow of thoughts started during the 60s by Harvey Liebenstein.
Yes.
And at all. So this starting of the curtain rises regarding HR is an eye-opener to the present contemporary world also, because it is the means as well as the end of everything, end of human endeavors. It is centered with the human endeavor. So this kind of your presentation Actually, it is benefited to our students and all participants for your contributing content-based, concise and brevity that you have achieved in this excellent presentation, sir. That is my first impression. Actually, the human resource now is transforming into human capital management. In certain leading universities in India, such as in Bangalore University, they have a course on shifted from human resource management to HRM to human capital management.
Absolutely.
So it is based on the earlier fundamentals of human capital thoughts.
Yes.
And I think that the contribution of human capital in relation to physical capital, that is much more increasing in this digitalization world.
Absolutely.
More than 2/3 of the human capital contribution now cover the entire global GNP. I think in that. So this first industrial revolution actually centered around the James Watt steam engine and everything.
Correct.
That portrayed by Arnold Toynbee in his story of Saga of Civilization.
Yes.
So this at that time, the industrial capitalism actually dominated in the production scene. Now, a paradigm shift from paradigm blindness in the field of service sector, that is actually an emerging field during the last few decades.
Yeah.
So I think that and the role of the HR manager as well as the HR function has been gaining much importance in future also.
Yes.
Because we cannot deny the human elements as a factor of production. After all, we know that I think this is the only factor of production, the sole source of production. All other factors are actually a subcomponent or the creation of human capital. Because a capital, the physical capital, actually it is the yesterday's human labor. It is the product of yesterday's human labor. Again, entrepreneurship, that is a specialist kind of human capital. So everything is centered around this. There is no kind of fourfold classification of the factors of production. Instead, there is the only one source of factors of production, that is the human factor, I think.
Absolutely.
So the impression is that your concentration in this area is much exciting in the participants.
Thank you very much for your kind words, sir. It's an honor to have such senior professionals and experts like you on this panel. Ideally, I would have loved to have this as a panel discussion. So your benefits, the students and participants could have benefited from your insights. So thank you so much for coming forward and putting forward your views. I really cannot agree more with what you said. Human capital is the way the industry is going to evolve. If you look at the number of millionaires today in the Fortune 500 list, if you look at the 1900s, then people who own the factors of production were the rich people. But today, if you look at in 2021, out of the 100 companies, 81 companies are people who are first generation entrepreneurs, like Bill Gates or any of these big rich leaders, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. All these billionaires are self-made millionaires, and they didn't have huge factor of production to help them. But what really differentiated them from the others is the idea that they had, and also the implementation, which was in their mind. All the humans, like you said, sir, human capital, are the ones that came together to make these big businesses successful. And that's going to be singularly the most defining parameter that's going to define the success of an organization. So I cannot agree more with you, sir. Thank you so much for coming forward and really, taking this discussion ahead. I really appreciate that. All right, I'm now starting to see a few questions, which is encouraging me. Angel, you've come like an angel with your first question. Do you mind asking the question? So I want some participation as well. Do you want to unmute yourself and just ask the questions so that everybody can hear your voice as well? Angel, Kekundo.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Angel, go ahead. I want you to have some spotlight. So just ask the question, and we can give some context on why you're asking this.
Yeah. So what's the challenging part in HR?
In what sense? Can you tell me a little more? in terms of what are challenges a HR person is facing, or what challenges I have faced
in
what-
today's generation.
in today's generation. Okay, thanks, Angel. Thanks for the question. The first part is to engage your audience in today's generation, because all of you who are there virtually have multiple other distractions that can keep pulling you away from a workplace. So, for example, when you go into your office, you have the Facebook icon that goes up. 15 people that have birthdays today. When you stop wishing them, you get some messages on WhatsApp and saying, "Oh, today this is happening. Some viral video is coming." You start seeing that. Then when that happens, somebody's LinkedIn update comes up. "Oh, this person has got a new job. This person is posting something about the weekend birthday party that they had." So the first challenge that HR professionals are facing today is how to engage talent in this hyper distractive world, where there's so many other options. Like all of you are participating in this session, but only few of you are attending. Participation is you log into Zoom and you are a participant. You get the certificate. But attention, I don't know how many of you are contributing here. So as a HR person, the first point today is to engage your audiences, get them involved, make them a part of this journey. Otherwise, if you don't do that, they'll not be able to contribute. And if they don't contribute, sorry, I apologize. And if they don't contribute, your production won't happen. So the first challenge I would say is really about engaging your audience. The second is to keep in tune with the changing needs of the industry, the professionals, and the generations. Like my grandfather, when he started work, he worked for Indian Railways. He worked in the same company for 42 years. My father worked in 4 different companies. He worked for a bank, he worked for an insurance company, he worked for a mutual fund, and he worked for a stockbroking house. I'm half the experience or 1/4 the experience of my grandfather and my father. But I'm already working for the 5th company in my career. So needs are changing of people, and different people are drawn by different needs. Some people come to work to earn their money. Some people come to get something else in return. Everybody's need is different. How do you hyper customize benefits? How do you make sure that everybody's getting what they want from the workplace is probably the second challenge. There are many other challenges that I can talk about, but hopefully this has given you some ideas, Angel, to start thinking of what are challenges that HR professionals are facing today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Angel. Any other questions? Come on, we've got 70 participants on this call, 69 excluding me. So I'm hoping to see at least 69 questions, if not more. Any other questions, team? What are your thoughts about HR 4.0? Is it a reality, or is it something that's just academically, an academic topic that's just getting debated with no substance to it? What are your thoughts? Anyone? Okay. Let me ask you another fun question. What is the first animal that comes to your mind when you think about a HR person? If HR had to be represented by an animal, what animal do you think will represent a HR person most appropriately? Do you mind typing it into the chat box? If you want to speak about it, you're welcome to do so. But otherwise, if you can just put it in the chat box, that would be welcome as well. What animal do you think can represent an HR person? Or what animal best represents an HR person? Anything. And this is a fun game. Nobody's judging you here. I think a monkey is the best animal that represents an HR person. Okay, Angel is saying lion. That's good. Thanks, Angel. You're the first. I don't know who's Galaxy 21 5G, but he or she is saying dog, which is also good. What else? See, I told you about attention and participation. There is a participation from 70 people, but attention looks like only few people. Abhijit is saying lion, Sneha is saying lion, Jisna is saying lion, Femi is saying lion, Vivo is saying lion, Vivo, whoever Vivo is. And this is what we call as groupthink. When one person says something, everybody else agrees. That's a small example of what we call as a group thinking. Atul is saying fox, Ben is saying tiger, Kevin is saying leopard, Sahana is saying cheetah. Kevin, are you prepared to speak to me a bit? Why do you think leopard? Leopard is a very unique animal that, most of the other responses I was expecting, but I didn't expect a leopard. So Kevin, do you mind unmuting yourself and just telling us why you thought about a leopard? What are the similarities that you see in an HR professional and a leopard? Go on, Kevin. Just feel
Yes, sir.
confident to unmute yourself. Yeah. Hey, thanks.
I think leopards are more suitable to HR because it has flexible nature.
Flexibility. And that was one of the skills that I highlighted in the 6 skills, remember? So you're spot on. Your assessment was right. What else?
The main reason we are telling that they are flexible because they are very much adaptable to the dynamic environment. Mainly in the case of HR department, they are facing many kinds of situations.
Yep.
So in the case of leopards, we see that they are flexible. So
Absolutely.
it helps to, adapt various environment and change according to the current situation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kevin. Ellaru kai koduthe Kevin nalla answer thanne Kevin. Thank you. Adipodi answer aayirunnu. Nivya, I like your answer. Horse, can you talk a little about it? Do you mind unmuting yourself?
Yes, sir. Yes, we all know that horse is the fastest animal. He could ride faster. So as the world's needs are changing continuously, we must also think very effectively. So horse I told us.
Brilliant response. Thank you so much, Nivya. So we've got 2 skills for the HR professional in HR 4.0. One is flexibility. Second is quick thinking. Again, a very, very important skill. The other word that I used for quick thinking was agility. How quickly can you think on your feet? How you can, come with responses that really matter and then, keep changing all the time. So Nivya, thanks for your response. Leena, you got rabbit out there. Can you tell us your thoughts about why you thought about rabbit as an animal that can represent the HR professional, the HR professional 4.0? Leena, Kekunambo.
So they get very close to the persons that they work with, and they just need a little space, and they consider the person that they are working for or they are doing the things for. So I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And the rabbit to me is also a sign of intelligence. The rabbit has big ears, which keeps listening a lot. The HR 4.0 has to have the characteristics of being able to listen to the audience, understand what people want, and then be able to design policies in line with people's expectations. Remember, I told you about the GM dress code policy that came about because the CEO listened to what people had to say. And your example of rabbit, Leena, reminds me of the big ears that the rabbit has, which kind of help the rabbit to listen more and then design policies which can help that rabbit to be successful. And an HR professional can learn from that to say that, okay, as a rabbit who keeps listening a lot, one can be adaptive, listen to insights from your employees. And there's a very nice body of work called design thinking. If any of you are interested, I'll send you the link to design thinking as well. The heart of design thinking is starting in the process called active listening. It really looks at taking in inputs from the users, in this case, employees, and trying to build policies around it. So great response, Leena. Thanks for sharing. Let's ask Ben. Ben, Tiger Varnillo, can you come online with us and tell us why you thought tiger is an animal that can represent the HR 4.0?
Sir, I think tiger is suitable because the way tiger attacks his prey is very creative and it requires a lot of patience.
Yes.
And the planning, they use efficiently to catch his prey. So I think it is suited.
Excellent. Great thought, Ben. That's a wonderful response. I think as a tiger, HR professional also needs to, HR 4.0 professional also needs to use that quick thinking, agility, flexibility, and then do the right thing to make things happen. Excellent, good. And by the way, the lion and tiger are both considered to be both powerful animals, but the lion assumes the role of a king or the leader of the jungle. But tiger is also an equally powerful animal, which kind of steps back a bit and lets people go out on their own. So that's also a very useful skill for an HR professional in the 4.0 kind of world. So good. I'm glad you're all engaging me with some responses. What other questions do you have? Is there anything else that you want me to answer? I don't claim to have all the answers, but I have had 15 years of experience in different geographies. Whatever little that I've acquired or I know, I would love to share that with you this evening. Anu, madam, any questions on your side? Anything that you would want me to focus on? Please, anybody else? You all decided for option 3, which was I'll finish my PPT in 30 minutes and then we can have a conversation. So I want to make this participative. Remember, I told you about collective intelligence. So talk to me. What questions come to your mind? Anything that I can answer for you? Anu, madam, I saw you unmute yourself. Sorry, I probably cut as you're beginning to speak. Would you like to share anything with us?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. Anybody else? Jisna, Bibin, Anu, Joel, Vivi, any questions, thoughts? Ajay, Rosemary, Janet, Anand, Gerald, Reshma, Yadu, Austin, Vibhu. Any thoughts, any questions, any comments? Femi, Siddharth, Mefi, Malvika, Rahul. Okay, Angel is always coming to my rescue. I think today God is kind to send Angel to my rescue all the time. Angel, thanks for your question. Do you want to again just articulate a little more in terms of what are you looking for from my experience? Do you want to speak to us? Angel?
Yes, sir. Like in companies that you worked, how was your experience there?
Thanks, Angel. Thanks for the question. So the first company I worked with, Angel, was this company called Nokia. At that point in time, Nokia was a market leader. So Nokia was a very big mobile phone manufacturing company, a Finnish company, manufacturing mobiles and selling it across the world. It was a market leader. So when you work for a market leader, everything is going well, right? Companies making money, people are meeting their goals. There's a lot of profits that get generated. So I was actually sent to Dubai at a very young age to be the HR leader for Saudi Arabia. So I was based out of Dubai and managing Saudi as a business unit. It was a great learning experience. I learned for the first time, and that was probably the first time that I went abroad as well. I used to be, otherwise my life was revolving between Kerala and Mumbai. I was born and raised in Mumbai, but originally I'm from Tripunithra in Kerala. So I used to just go to these two places as a kid. But when I went to Dubai, I realized that there's a big world outside. There's a world of opportunities. The people from different cultures, their different backgrounds, different experiences. So that really helped me a lot, Angel. So my first learning was as an HR professional, while you learn a lot of things in school, in college, the real world is very different. The real world is not just the town, the places that we visited, but there's a big ocean out there, and you'll never get to learn everything. So at Nokia, what I learned was the importance of working with cross-cultural teams, being able to relate to people from different backgrounds. Like I'm a person coming from Kerala, and I'm talking to people who are Arabic, Egyptians, Lebanese, Syrian people from different parts of the world. How do you work with them was a key learning point. From Nokia, I moved to a company called Deutsche Bank. In banking, it's again a very different world. In a commercial firm, the focus is on marketing, sales, getting the numbers. In a bank, it's always about compliance. But if you don't get a compliance right in a bank, then your business will go bust. So in the bank, I learned a lot about how do you put systems, processes, structures. How does HR function as a true business partner to the banking operation to help that business to grow. From there, I worked with a company called GE, General Electric. At General Electric, it was all about engineering excellence. It was a company that was started by an inventor called Thomas Alva Edison, who is credited with discovering the bulb. So GE taught me really the beauty of engineering. I worked in two businesses, oil and gas and aviation. There I learned how people are different. A person who's commercial in nature is all about relationship. A person in bank is all about numbers. But a person in engineering is all about that experience, that technology, that process, that logic. So very, very different kind of people. When I went to school, these were all probably my friends. But depending on the vocation that they chose, their personalities also started becoming different. So person working in a marketing firm or a sales firm became extroverted, very nicely spoken, spoke to people easily. But a person who worked for a financial firm probably spent more time looking at numbers, and his or her experiences were different. And the person working in an engineering firm probably was much more logical, structured in his approach and making things happen. Now, I'm not trying to propagate stereotypes here. People are different, everybody's unique. But that's the broad sense I got. If I have to generalize, this is one way of generalizing it. And today at Danaher, it's really about continuous improvement. It's a company where people genuinely believe that every day they have to be a little better than what they were yesterday. And that belief is what I see in this company. So as an HR person, my journey has taught me a lot. I've always been curious. I've been asking questions to people. I've been learning. I've been humble. In my mind, HR's definition should be humility and reality. As an HR professional, you should always think about how you can be part of any organization and contribute. It's not about what you're getting. If you think about what you're giving, then God will take care, and make sure you're getting more than what you're giving. It's the same philosophy in Bible, in Bhagavad Gita, in Quran. If you do good to others, the good will come back to you. And that's true for HR as well. As a person, if you're able to create positive impact in the life of people around you as an HR professional, that good karma will come back to you in the form of your growth, your success, your development. But as a HR person, if you just are insecure and you don't want to help other people to grow, you don't want to do what you're supposed to do, but you just expect returns, then nothing is going to come your way. So it's important for you as an HR person to understand how you can add value to the surrounding around you. Like in this discussion today, I had a presentation, I was expecting a conversation, but if it's taking a little time to start that conversation, I have to try something new. I have to improvise so that I can make this session worthwhile for all the 65 of you who are on this call till now. So how do you do that is really, really critical. So that's why I say HR is all about humility and reality. Reality is tuning into the world outside you. Start developing the ability to see what is not shown and hear what is not told. That's very, very important. It looks a little vague when I say that, but in my mind, as an HR person, you should be able to read the room in the air in the room. When you walk into a room, you see a group of people around you, you should know what this person is thinking. What are his or her concerns? What are his or her needs? And how can you as an HR person fulfill those needs by connecting the company's objectives to the person's personal needs? If you do that well, people will be excited. People will want to work for the company. But if you don't do that well, chances are people will leave your company and work for another company. So it's a constantly evolving process where you need to keep understanding what the needs are and try to do your best to meet those needs for those team members within the direction that the organization is taking. Sorry if it was a long answer, Angel, but I hope I've given you some thoughts about my journey so far.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What else? Anything else that comes to mind, team? Any questions from any of you on this call today?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, Anu, go ahead.
Sir, I just wanted to know how you deal with unethical situations.
Okay, and that's a great question, Anu. I would say that that's a very, very challenging challenging question to answer, because today's world, every day you face some situations where there is a choice between what is right and what looks an easy way of doing things. The way I deal with unethical situations is I always ask the question that this action that I'm going to do, will it pass the newspaper test? Now, what is a newspaper test? Anything that I'm going to do, if I am in doubt whether this thing is the right thing to do or not so right thing to do, I just ask myself, if this action that I'm doing now, if it gets published in the newspaper tomorrow, and my mother, my father, my grandmother read that newspaper, how will they feel about it? If they don't feel good about what I'm going to do, I will not do that thing. If they feel good about what I'm going to do, then I'll probably do it. So I call it the newspaper test. Some people call it the keyhole theory as well, where anytime they don't know what's the right thing to do, they say that just think that there's somebody who's looking at you or somebody who's watching you from an imaginary keyhole in the room that you're in. And that person is seeing what you're doing. So if you feel that the person can see what you're doing and you still want to do it, then go ahead and do it. But if you feel that it's not the right thing to do, that person is watching, then don't do it. That's how I keep asking myself and guiding myself to be able to do the right things. If I see something that is not right in the organization, I try to escalate it to the ethics helpline. Most companies have ethics helpline now, and a lot of people don't know about it or don't use it very freely because they believe that there'll be some retribution, there'll be some retaliation. But in reality, never in big companies I have seen anybody who's a whistleblower being treated unfairly. At least in the companies I have worked for, I've been very fortunate that if there's a person who's not doing the right thing, compliance and integrity matters a lot. A company's reputation is worth its weight in gold. And if that company doesn't have the right checks and balances, you've seen what happened to Enron, you've seen what happened to Arthur Anderson and many other companies. SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley Act, came into being because we wanted to make sure that we are doing the right thing from a corporate governance perspective. So as an HR professional, you need to have your spine erect. You need to be able to stand up for what's not right, because many a times you are the torch bearer, you are the shining light when it comes to compliance, integrity, living the right values for an organization. So are you able to role model that? Are you able to stand up against what is not right and challenge people, coach people, guide people? Is the question I would ask. I don't know if I answered your question or no, but I hope it gave you some perspective.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Remember the newspaper test. It's really important. As you go into senior roles, newspaper test might come in handy when you're in situations which look a little ambiguous. What else?
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Neerja, go ahead.
So what trends will shape human resource departments over the next 5 years?
Excellent. That's a great question, Neerja. So all of us have heard about artificial intelligence. We've heard of AI, ML, deep learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics. There's a lot of things that are happening in that space. In my mind, the way the economy evolves will be defined by technologies that kind of come into play and that can be leveraged to produce services that humans will consume and are willing to pay for. So in my mind, it could be a lot more of technologies that make human beings' life easier. So how the industry will evolve, if you have to look at it, look at the problems that people are facing today. In a place like Afghanistan, when Taliban was taking over, there was a lady who provided a software app which told people where are the places where there's a riot happening, or where are the places where it's not safe to go. And that app was downloaded by hundreds of people in Afghanistan, in Kabul, so that they could navigate the way to safety. Now, those kind of apps were defined by a human need for safety in times of challenges around the world. So look for human challenges, Neerja. That's what I would say. And whatever challenges exist, like today, there's a big need for us to find a drug in the space of COVID. All the companies that found that drug have done well. If you look at Moderna, the share price was $40. It's $320 today. If you look at Pfizer, while their share price has not increased, but they've done well financially on the back of the COVID wave. So many companies will provide offerings or a product to a need that is there, and then people will be able to create some profit from it. And those profit-making opportunities is what will define the world. So look out for technology, read something that nobody else is reading, do something that nobody else is doing, Nirja. That will possibly put you ahead of the race. Because running fast is important, but running faster than others is also important if you want to win the race. Just by running fast, you will not win the race. You have to also look at what the world is, how the world is changing. So keep reading more, keep listening more, keep doing more. That way you'll be able to really go ahead and do more. So I don't know if it was a straight answer, Nirja, but I hope I've given some thoughts which help you think in the direction of what the next 5 years would look like. Maybe it's something in the space of healthcare. Maybe it's something new, like say digital technology, wearable devices, which will help you to track your health in a much better way. You don't have to go to a hospital to do a test. You can do that test at home by just wearing a watch, which kind of tracks entire metrics, the health metrics or parameters of your body. So all those things could be quite, powerful. Sustainability will
Thank
play a
you,
very...
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nirja. And I think Matthew sir makes a very important point. ESG is becoming extremely important in today's world. Every company is talking about people, planet, and profit. In the past, companies used to talk only about profit, more money, other things are not so important. But now as we are evolving, every company has a CSR mandate. They're talking about diversity and inclusion. They're talking about environment, society, governance. Everybody's talking about these things, which will become important. So what is good will stay for the long term. A classic example is Tata Group. Tata Group always put their profit as a secondary objective. Their primary purpose was to serve the people. And look at how well Tata Group is doing today, one of the most respected institutions in the company. Again, I refer to CMI Brothers, a great group of committed professionals or spiritual leaders who are contributing to society without expecting anything in return. That's the kind of businesses that will succeed, that are there to do good to the people, that are there to deal with sustainability. A great example is this healthcare brand called Body Shop by Anita Roddick. Doesn't use any testing on animals. Such a big hit today in today's world. So those are opportunities that I could think of. Sustainability, very, very important parameter. Matthew sir, thanks for bringing that forward. Okay, if there are no other questions, we're kind of coming to that time where it's slowly time to wind up and probably say thank you to each other. But I really enjoyed this conversation. If there are any other questions, I would love to try and answer them. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, so please feel free to reach out to me. If you feel there's something I can do for you, I would love to pitch in. I would love to learn from you as well. I did not get a lot of insights today from some of you, but Matthew sir's insights were very, very powerful. I benefited from that. I hope I get to hear from the rest of you as well in some future forums. But the world is a great place and you will become what you think you can become. So train your thoughts in a positive way. As it is said in the Bible, ask and you shall, receive it. Knock and the door shall open. Seek and you shall find it. It's very important for you to take that belief, keep that faith and keep moving. The world will keep changing on its own. But if you have faith, then faith can move mountains and make you successful in whatever you want to do. So with that, I'll conclude my part. If there's any other questions, I can stay on. Else, I would wish you a very successful life, a safe, healthy, and positive life. I always end conferences these days by that saying that stay positive and test negative. So I'll conclude here and we'll catch up again. Thank you so much for having me on this session today.
Thank you, sir, for that well-structured and effective session. Next, as a token of love, Postgraduate Department of Commerce of KCMT like to share with you a certificate of appreciation. For that, I invite Dr. Anu Anthony, NAC and IQAC coordinator, to hand over the certificate to Mr. Arun, sir.
Thank you, Anu ma'am. I appreciate the certificate. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Nirja. I didn't know your name. Earlier, your name was coming as some blue bird or something. But thanks for anchoring this session so well. And thank you again, all the organizers, for having me here. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
To officially thank all gathered here, I would like to invite Mr. Deepu C. Vijay, Faculty of Commerce Department. Sir, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I take it as a privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our principal, Reverend Father Joshi Chiranguri CMI, for making this occasion possible with his frequent support and guidance. Then our chief guest, Arun Sukumar sir, who despite of his busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. His words were enlightening to all of us. Then our vice principal and head of the Department of Commerce, Sri Varghese Anthony sir, who always give guidance and advice to all our effort. I extend my sincere gratitude to him on this occasion. I also express my gratitude to Dr. Anu Anthony ma'am for her support and guidance. I would like to thank all the dignitary, teachers and students community for making this meeting a grand success. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much.
Session two. Okay, sir.
Please.
Okay. So the session 2 is being concluded here. Thanking all the dignitaries, dear participants, and all the well-wishers contributed to this endeavor.
Thank you, Nirja. I would just like to acknowledge Rajesh sir. Rajesh Paingavil sir is the one who connected me to Anu ma'am. So Rajesh sir, good to see you again.
Yeah.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Arun sir, good evening. I am here. I am actually attending your session. I was hearing your words of wisdom. It was nice, and at least I am very happy to see you virtually once again.
Same, Sandosham. It's my happiness to see you again. Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed
accepting my request, Dr. Anu's request, to be the resource person for this function. And say that I am a very close associate of Christian College. College for many years. I am very close. I know principal, Father Principal very well. I vice principal as well as Dr. Anu, and also all the faculty members of Commerce Department. So they are doing a wonderful job. They are constantly into research, consultancy, lot of activities, programs and all. And definitely by your words of wisdom, I think, and I'm very sure that all the participants and the students gained a lot. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Rajesh sir. Thank you, Varghese Anthony sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rajesh sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.